I think there's a level of nostalgia that, especially our generation, from people I talk to, from social media, they reference back to that time, which was pretty much like between 2008-ish to like 2012, 2013, 14, where it's like Pitbull was at his height, Neo. Who else really was there's so many. I mean,
Usher was doing his thing back in the day, bro. The Black Eyed Peas, they were
Teo Cruz was going bonkers, bro.
Dude,
Bruno Mars was ascending.
Okay, Bruno Mars. Everybody was saying he was Michael Jackson,
right?
And then when The Weeknd popped up, the conversation changed.
It's totally different.
Oh man, dude.
Yeah, The Weeknd is a totally different level of similarity to Michael Jackson than Bruno. Although Bruno does do a good job of capturing that too.
What song do you think The Weeknd's most like Michael Jackson? Dirty Diana aside.
Other than Dirty Diana. Good question. So in 2021, before Dawn FM came out, which was a spur of the moment, I remember you and I watching that Amazon Prime or whatever, where he released all the songs. That was special.
It was like a live concert. That was pretty sick.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
I think it was on January 7th. Which is a special day for me because that's also my anniversary with my girlfriend.
There you go.
So, of course, I can't forget that date.
No, sir.
To hype up that album back in August of 2021, he came out with Take My Breath, which I really thought was going to ascend and kind of be the new Blinding Lights, which from the level of success and magnitude and impact that it had on the world, really, it's so hard to get up to that height again. But Take My Breath, there's a certain element, because it's just so synth-infused. There's a moment where, I'm not gonna sing it, but there are Thriller elements to it from Michael Jackson. And I could have a YouTube video of both songs, and there's a certain moment in Take My Breath where I can pause it and press play on Thriller, and it just flows perfectly into it. So it's not just his voice, but sometimes it's even his like inflection and his tone and his cadence, where I really feel like this guy is a reincarnation of MJ to a certain degree. But there's so many. What song would come to your mind?
So,
and actually, on top of that, I have this. Would you wish that he came out with kind of another reiteration of a famous Michael Jackson song?
Ooh.
And if so, which one? That's 3 questions. I'll let you... I'm curious.
So, to answer what song I think is the most MJ-like, I would probably go with I Feel It Coming.
Oh, yeah.
From Starboy. But that, for me, is... I could see MJ singing a song like that. To your point, I know exactly what part about Take My Breath you're referencing. Mm-hmm. It's completely straight out Thriller. And even then, the vocals are also pretty similar.
Yeah.
So yeah, those would be my 2. As far as... I'm going to take a sip and think about this one. As far as what song I'd like The Weeknd to cover next from MJ's discography, I really like PYT, Pretty Young Thing, but I don't know how well that works with The Weeknd's vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I got to throw it to you.
Yeah. You have me out here looking, trying to reach. Can't feel my face. I feel like I was reading something where whatever record label The Weeknd was making that song for, that producer turned and was like, this is Michael Jackson. And I think Billie Jean is very similar to that in certain degrees. Yeah. So PYT is such a good song. I'm glad you picked that one. And there's so many great Michael Jackson songs, and the only one that The Weeknd.
Yeah.
First name basis.
Only,
yeah. The only song that he really did was DD, Dirty Diana.
Yes. Which that is probably the most electrifying, the most like forward with its, maybe it's not explicit, but it's the most forward with these thoughts that Michael had about a certain girl that The Weeknd expresses in many of his songs.
Right.
So I think that was the most fitting one for sure. Yeah.
It's MJ almost had to have a filter in his era, to a degree.
Yeah.
And then I think another element to what song we're gonna pick is that was one of the Weeknd's first songs. Really, that's part of the trilogy album.
Yes.
So that's a whole different time in his life that in many ways he wishes he doesn't ever go back to. So he's kind of in this synthy not pop, but disco-esque rhythm with Dawn FM. I feel like that's where he's kind of going towards, with his collaborations with Mike Dean and Kate Tronda, who is on the tour with him. So I'm trying to think of what song beyond that. Smooth Criminal would be so cool.
That would be pretty sweet.
That would be so cool.
Especially if they change up. I think some of the lyrics they could definitely change up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be cool. As far as like the more like synthy thing that you're talking about, I do think of like there's those songs where it's like Remember the Time kind of as he's progressing a little bit. And
which I think Eddie Murphy is in that music video.
He is.
Okay.
He is. And it's like
fun fact.
Yeah, they almost like a little bit too repetitive, but it allows Michael to do that like remember the time. Oh, and there's like doing all these like random vocal things in the background that The Weeknd will do in live performances, like the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. He'll start doing like that foot clicking in thing like this, and he'll start doing the hey. Like, you know, start doing the ha, ha, ha,
yeah,
or the na 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 booyah. And I don't know how that comes across on audio.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, so I could see something like that almost working, but in a song like Remember the Time, where there's a lot of gaps maybe in lyrics, but maybe it's not as synthy.
That electric guitar bass line in Sacrifice on Dawn FM, it was. People who helped produce it were Swedish House Mafia, and they made like an extended cut or their own remix, if you will. And the beginning of that one is they just sample that and just expand on it, and that is very similar to that Beat It element too. That hardcore so screw the synth. Let's go straight to this bass line electric guitar. That would be another one where The Weeknd's played around with kind of those elements. That would also be a really cool one because he's already done it, and then you can collaborate with a group like OPN or Swedish House Mafia.
That'd be so clean.
So I really like the route that he is taking